What is the deal, Raider Nation? Once again, you're back for another episode of the Raider Rundown. And today, man, we're going to be recapping that ugly loss versus the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Today, we're going to go over, what we liked, what we disliked, and also talk about the future. You know how we do. So without further ado, man, let's go ahead, get this intro started, and let's get this show cracked.
Young guy, I had a dream that someday I would build the finest organization in professional sports.
What is the deal, everybody? Once again, like I said, you're back for another episode of the Raider Rundown. Make sure you guys are tapping on that like and on the subscribe button. And please hit on the little notification bell so you get updated whenever I drop episodes like this one right here. But like I was saying, man, we got to go ahead, go over and recap the loss versus the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Like, the shit was ugly, right? There's no way around it. The shit was ugly. Started off very good, but like many games previous in the past we played against the Chiefs, you start off good, but fizzle out towards the end. They end up coming back, roaring back, and they end up, winning the game. So what's the long story short? We can go over the stats real quick. Aiden O'Connell, 23 of 33, 248 yards with one touchdown. All right, Josh Jacobs had his 20 attempts for 110 yards with a tub. So Jacobs ended up having his 20 attempts with over 100, and usually for the Raiders, that spells success. All right, but not this time. All right, now you look at the receiver. Jacoby Myers had 6 catches for 79 yards. Devontae Adams had 5 catches for 73. Hunter, 4 catches for 38 yards. Michael Mayer, 2 catches for 27. And Josh Jacobs had 4 for 15 as we go down the list. When you really look at it and we think about it, it's kind of crazy how you think about the Raiders not having any penalties, not having any turnovers in this game. It was a pretty clean game. And by the look of the stats, you'd say, okay, the Raiders had a shot in this game. But it seems there is one problem that continues to glare its ugly ass head in these 2 losses against the upper echelon teams. All right, now we're just talking about the 2 losses against these 2 good opponents, Giants, Jets, whatever. But the glaring thing is that this team gets conservative after it builds a lead. After it builds a lead, this team continues to get conservative. Why? It makes no sense to me. As I look at the chat, my man Sam, what is the deal? What's up, Rundown? Disappointing loss, but we had the ass in the beginning. Just got to adjust and finish strong. I agree. But the thing that I'm saying, and that falls into what I'm talking about right now, and that's we're too conservative after, we end up building a lead. And let's just say, even on offense, we're too conservative after the scripted plays. Because, in the NFL, the first 15, that's the script right there. So after the first scripted plays, the Raiders become predictable. They become conservative. Why is that? Now, if you watched my instant reaction, and most of you guys who are going to be in here, you pretty much watched yesterday when I was live with CT. You saw I wasn't too happy about that, right? And then I put most of it on the coaching staff. I mean, yesterday's loss, especially when you have no turnovers, no flags, no penalties, and you lose the game in that type of fashion, it's usually based off your coaching and the talent on your team. The talent is just not better than your opponents. The coaching was not better than your opponents. That's basically what it comes down to when you have a pretty clean game as it was yesterday. So, I want to put most of it on the coaching staff, but then taking a sleep on them. You know what I mean? Taking a step back. This is why I say I like doing these shows, these recaps and all that the day after. I love doing it after I can take a step back. But, you got to think, okay, for Bo Hardegree, let's start there on the offensive side of the ball because, once again, it was lackluster. Like I said, but I read the stats, and you're like, well, goddamn, he had pretty good stats, which is true. But still, if you watch the game, you understand there's still spots in the game where it's just so goddamn conservative, so goddamn predictable. So we can start with Bo Hardegree, all right? Realistically, only 4 games of play calling experience. Realistically, not a lot he can do and not a lot of checks he can get into. I think I got into this last week. Not a lot of checks, not a lot of adjustments he can really get into with a 4-week-old playbook. All right. I mean, we can call it an excuse, but it's just the reality of it. We got to be real about it, you know? And hold on, because I think my DoorDash is going to the wrong goddamn house. I just seen that motherfucker. Hold on. Wait a minute. All right, man. Yeah. You gotta make sure nobody's stealing that goddamn food. You gotta make sure. But going back on it, I think that I think that Bo Hardegree, with only 4 games of coaching experience under his belt, can we give him a mulligan for that? You know what I mean? It's like, how much can he really get to? How much can he really call? What can he really instill? You know, and granted a lot that, you know, there is playmakers there that may help, you know, ease the blow a little bit. But at the end of the day, excuse me, everybody. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so I believe that, you know, with 4 games of coaching experience, that can we really give him a mulligan? I mean, he can't really check into certain plays. He can't really do certain things. So, you know, what can we say about Bo Hardegree? I will say from week to week, he has changed a couple things. You know, he's done, you know, just a little to try to make adjustments from week to week. But I think the in-game adjustments are something that that's not going to really be present because he hasn't had any time to instill any type of playbook, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? He has no time to instill any type of playbook of his own to really say that, all right, man, when Kansas City does this, we're going to check into that, and then blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like, we got to be real with ourselves. It's 4 games old. It is 4 games old. We have, you know, no continuity in that offensive play caller. You know, I was the first to say yesterday that I didn't think he was good enough regardless. But, you know, I do have to give him a mulligan for that. And at the same time, I have to say that him, you know, only having that much experience is not going to help much. Now, you go into Aiden O'Connell. Now, most of us talk about Aiden O'Connell. We were talking about it yesterday. I kind of do stand by the thing that, yeah, I think that his talent level limits what he can do, right? I think the talent really limits what, you know, this offense can be in the modern NFL. And that's not necessarily me shitting on the kid, because some people will take that as me shitting on the kid and saying he's not good. I think that he's progressing week by week. And I mean, just now he just got named the highest rated passer. The highest rated passer rating, right, of week 12. So he's up there, which is good to see. But when you watch the offense, I mean, you guys let me know, but it feels like that we still have training wheels on this offense. What's up, everybody? What's the deal, man? Hey, by the way, I'm gonna go ahead and share this link out in a minute. But you know, to me, it feels like we still have somewhat of some training wheels on the offense, okay? And it feels like Aiden O'Connell does not really have, you know, full control, full grasp of what he wants to do. At the end of the day, everybody can say that, oh, he's a rookie, he's this and that, but at some point, the training wheels have to come off for the kid. All right, and we got to see him unleashed. And if you don't trust him enough to do certain things, I always argue, if you don't trust your quarterback to do certain things, can you say he's the guy? Now, yes, he's a rookie, but at this point in time in the NFL, we're looking at rookies to produce. They need to produce. Point blank simple. And especially with the talent that we have on this team, it's kind of like inexcusable for him not to produce, right? But I think what's the deal to everybody in chat? But I think that there is a ceiling on what Aiden O'Connell's potential can be. Now, that's not me saying that, oh, you know, he can't progress into anything. But at the end of the day, I think that there are multiple factors that need to be put in place for Aiden O'Connell to reach his fullest potential. Whereas other quarterbacks, you may not need as much, if that makes sense. You know, that's where I'm at with it. I'm still, of course, willing to give him most of the season. You'll never hear me say put Jimmy Garoppolo in. Like I said, if anybody's fucking saying that, you know, dismiss their opinion. That's where I'm at with it. But at this point, you know, of course we keep Aiden O'Connell in there, but I just think that there's still more levels to grow. Still more levels to grow, still more levels to go, you know, in order for me to say that this is the franchise guy. As of right now, competition is getting drafted. Competition is definitely getting drafted. Now, yes, the offense yesterday had some type of rhythm, man. I mean, Josh Jacobs running the ball, but I mean, offensive line got to gain some type of consistency in the run game. But I mean, it doesn't help when your best offensive lineman is at like goddamn 60%. You know, your best offensive lineman is at 60%. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. These end of the season injuries are starting to wear down some of the players. You could definitely tell, you know, it's football, bro. It's a violent game, especially towards the end of the season. You definitely could tell when certain players start getting wore down. You know what I mean? It's a long season. So Colton Miller, not where he need to be health-wise. You know, he's pushing through it, though, soldiering. But the rest of the offensive line is too inconsistent. We don't have, you know, somebody of, let's say, the Colton caliber to hold it down, you know, and really win more reps than they lose on that offensive line. So I definitely, you know, to a degree, you'll hear me defend the offensive line, especially in the pass game, because it's like, bro, I mean, how long could Aiden O'Connell hold the ball before somebody's going to sack his ass? I mean, let's be real. But in the run game, I will concede that they definitely need to be more consistent. But I mean, your boy had a 60-plus yard run yesterday. I mean, what the fuck are we asking at this point? You know what I mean? And then every time that I want to make an excuse, it's just like it comes back to you have no flags, you have no turnovers, you have no penalties, bro. Like it comes down to talent and coaching in that type of game. It comes down to talent and coaching in that type of game, in that type of aspect. And I mean, yesterday shows, bro, it's just like you don't have the talent, right? You don't have the talent, which, you know, I'm going to continue. You know, it only goes so far. Like, to me, and you know, shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you for being here, man. But to me, like my man just said, bro, the rookie issues only go so far. I mean, especially with the talent that's on the team, bro. And it's like, I'm going to have the same excuse. I mean, not same excuse. I'm going to have the same attitude for anybody that comes in here and plays that position. So, like I said, it goes to talent and coaching. But when you talk about the talent, then we now go to the defense, okay? And the defense with the hobbled Max Crosby looks like the amount of money you spent on it. I'm going to repeat that again. This defense with a hobbled Max Crosby looks like the amount of money you spent on it. You spent $60 million. And I have continuously said that the defense is outperforming what they're supposed to be doing. They're really doing more and exceeding what they're really supposed to be doing, which is a very encouraging sign because it means, I mean, they're picking up the scheme. They know what they're doing. They're comfortable with their assignments. It's all good shit, right? But against an upper echelon team, against a more talented team, or let's just say a team with a better quarterback, you're not going to be able to get away with certain shit that you're able to get away with. You know what I mean? Against Zach Wilson, you get away with certain shit. You get away with playing off coverage, right? You get away with, you know, maybe being out of position here or two. But against Patrick Mahomes, time and time again, you can't do it. You just can't do it. You know what I mean? Against Zach Wilson, you might get away with Kuntz being your primary rusher, right? You might get away with Bilal Nichols being your primary DT. You'll get away with shit like that against the Jets and the Giants. But against Kansas City, shit don't fly. Why? Because it's upper echelon talent. And against teams of that nature, you need to have talent to match that. We don't have it. We don't have, now I'll give it to you like this. We have a lot of depth pieces right now, a lot of great depth pieces, but we don't have another guy. On that defense, we don't have another guy, and primarily I'm talking about that defensive line. Because yesterday, the ugliness of the Raiders defensive line reared its head again yesterday. Why? Because Patrick Mahomes had all day. He had all goddamn day yesterday to pat the ball and find an open target on these crossing routes. That's just what it was on the defensive side of the ball yesterday. And when you don't have the defensive line to pressure Mahomes, he's gonna pick you apart. Even if you do the little, and which I don't understand why Patrick Graham was doing, but even if you do the, we're gonna play the deep area of the field, you're not gonna get anything deep, right? And we're gonna sit here and play the underneath. At this point in Patrick Mahomes' career, he's learned that that's how people want to play him. So when he makes the adjustments, like he did from the second quarter and on, we have no talent to combat him when he decides to do that. We don't have it. Nonetheless, we don't have the talent on the offensive side of the ball to go toe for toe with a motherfucker like that either. So, that's where we are. So when he decides to make his adjustments, when Patrick Mahomes decides to make his adjustments, we don't have the talent to combat what he's doing or what the Chiefs are doing. And then now that leads us into Antonio Pierce and his coaching staff as we wind down on the rundown of yesterday's game. We talked about the offense, right? You look at the stats, and the stats are amazing, but conservative. We wonder why that is, but then you get to wondering about yourself. Our play caller is only 4 games experienced. He only has 4 games under his belt. So as we see from week to week, he's very good at adjusting from week to week and trying to instill certain things within the game plan to attack a certain team. So his first 15 scripted plays are great. But then we go into the inexperience as the game wanes on. And now we're talking about he don't have no counter punches. He don't have no counter moves because he doesn't have a playbook. We can call it an excuse, but it's the reality of the situation. We talk about Aiden O'Connell. There are things that he does, but to this point, he has shown me that there has to be many factors involved for him to be successful. And we're going to talk, if some people want to talk about the offensive line, sure, you can talk about the offensive line, but he's an immobile quarterback. He's not mobile. So with a non-mobile quarterback, I've always said it, you have to have damn near a top 5 offensive line with a non-mobile quarterback. And that's something we don't have. So, nature from that. We continue on. And then we get to talking about the defense. The defense with the hobble Max Crosby, like I said, looks like the amount of money you paid for it. Because at the end of the day, without Max Crosby, where is the other dude? Where is it? Now we can talk about Nate Hobbs. Nate Hobbs showed his ass yesterday, and Nate Hobbs is progressing very nicely. Trayvon Merrick is progressing very nicely. But Diablo, disappointment. The outside corners are a fucking mess. And that was something that scared me coming into the season. We had no length. We barely had depth on the outsides for corners. Brandon Faison was basically somebody collecting the check as of this point. And yes, he's hurt, so, hopefully he gets better. But up to this point, bro, he's somebody that's just collected some bread, collected his paper. So we got to be real about that. There's nobody on the outside corners that's going to help this team. We're relying on Jack Jones and shit now and Amik Robertson. And, I saw somebody, Marcus Johnson from Tape Don't Lie. He made the point. How many other 32 teams is Amik Robertson starting for? How many of our players on defense are starting on other 32 teams? I'll leave it at that. You know what I mean? So there we are. But it's bad, bro, because now we get to the coaching staff. And I don't want to say it's bad because we get to the coaching staff now. And the only reason I say or have that type of sentiment is because we're already divided. I see a lot of us are divided off of this. Now, Like I said, after sleeping on it, we lost to the Chiefs. Nothing to sneeze at, bro. I mean, we've been losing to the Chiefs, so it is what it is. So I'm not gonna kill them off that. If he would have won this game, okay. Did they come in looking prepared? Yes. But I think the same thing that I say from Bo Hardegree is the same thing that I'm saying for pretty much Aiden O'Connell, pretty much, Antonio Pierce. They have 4 games experience. So things are not going to look as they are, or as they should be with a more veteran coach. And another good tidbit to say, if we don't go with Antonio Pierce and we go with somebody, for example, like Ben Johnson, he's a rookie head coach too. So all the rookie head coach shit that we're seeing right now with Antonio Pierce, we're gonna have to go through with another guy who's about to be it's his first time being a head coach. So we're just gonna go through all the same growing pains that we're fucking going through right now. That's something to put in your brains, something to put in your noggins. Now, this is where the question lies with Antonio Pierce. And I'm going to pose this question to y'all. So even if you're watching it live right now, or you watch it sometime later on in the distant future or in the near future, this is the question that I pose to you guys right here. And I want you guys to sit on it. Really sit on it, put your owner's cap on. With Antonio Pierce, is this a guy that you're banking on long-term to say that he is going to develop and improve as he continues to be a head coach? Do you believe that's something that he can do? I want you to answer that now. Take a minute. I drop something damn near daily now. So, or I'm going live tonight, with my man Leo, with Protect the Shield for Chris, man, my guy from Protect the Shield. If I want you guys to sit on it. If you think he is, all right, we'll talk about it. If you don't think he is, we'll talk about that as well. But the question, once again, do you think Antonio Pierce is a guy that can improve on some of his flaws going forward? Because if it's a yes, then that's something that you're willing to bank on and you're willing to invest in. Like I said, you bring in somebody like a Ben Johnson who's never been a head coach. It's the same rookie shit that we're talking about now. You know what I mean? As far as situationally in these games. Now, that's something that I will say that I'm not feeling right now from Antonio Pierce. I don't think he's handling the game situationally like he should. And when I say that, I mean, it's so many games, especially in the last 2 games, where you go conservative at the half, before the half, you go too conservative. And now we're trying to play catch-up ball. Like I said yesterday live with CT, this feels like an offense, or it just feels like a team where it's like you have a great game plan, but it's like you're holding on for dear life that it works, and that, your first initial, let's say gas, your first initial blow at the team, you're hoping that that's enough to sustain you for 4 quarters. But it's like you're holding on to the rope, hoping it don't slip. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't feel like we attack after our first scripted. It feels like after we have our nice little game plan to start the game, it's like we're just trying to hold on for dear life and hoping that shit works. And I want this team to get to a point where they attack for all 4 quarters, because we've seen, bro, when this team gets to a point where they attack and they're aggressive, we can win any game and we can be in any game like we saw yesterday. So that's something I want. Yeah, and Sammy is saying it right here. Being a statue in the pocket will hurt the offensive line. And I'll continue to say it, bro. Everybody that wants to talk about the offensive line, if you have a non-mobile quarterback, you need a top 5 offensive line damn near in today's NFL. That's just where we're at. Where we're at. So with all that, we talked about the head coach, we talked about the offense, we talked about the defense, we talked about the head coach. It's the bye week. So it's going to be a lot of special shows coming to y'all this week. We're going to have a lot of shit in store, man. It's going to be a real packed week, real loaded week. So make sure you guys are staying tuned for that. Like I said, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific time, going to be going live with Protect the Shield, and going to be going live with Cheeto Linus. My guys, man, we're going to be recapping the game as well. But I had to bring you my own synopsis, my own little recap on what I thought, unprovoked real quick. But like I said, if you're watching this now or you're going to watch this in the future, man, make sure you guys are hitting the like, hitting the subscribe button, tap on all them buttons, man. I appreciate everybody that comes in and you know, tunes into the kid daily, man. I can't state how much I appreciate each and every one of you, for real. And you know, regardless of whatever the outcome is, you know, we still gonna be looking at this thing objectively. And of course, we want the Raiders to win, but we got to do it the right way, you know. So later on in the week, we're gonna be talking about the future, man. Should we draft somebody at the quarterback position? Head coaches, do we keep him? If we do not keep him, Antonio Pierce, who do we go with? Who are some available offensive coordinators? Because if we do keep Antonio Pierce, as the first thing everybody's going to be asking, what's the offensive coordinator? What's the offensive coordinator? So, you know, so many question marks, so many things that we have to go over. But definitely, man, gave you the recap. So the rundown of the whole thing was yesterday. I feel like this game came down to talent and coaching. It came down to, one, the Raiders are not as talented in certain crucial spots as the Chiefs, and it shows. Now, you know, we have talent in certain spots for sure, but in the important positions, they outweigh us, and it shows drastically every time we play. And two, the coaching. It comes down to the inexperience of the coaching, and it showed yesterday. You know, just the inexperience. There are certain things that Antonio Pierce definitely could have did better, definitely could have had his foot on the gas when we talking about going forward on the fourth down. To me, that was the most pivotal. That was the most pivotal. That was the most pivotal point in the game when we didn't go for it on fourth down. We missed the field goal. I feel like the whole momentum shifted. I feel everything deflated. I mean, even though we went back and then got the 14-zip lead, you know, with the Jacobs run and kind of a mulligan, but at the same time, it's like it sets a mindset. It sets a tone in the stadium. It sets a tone in the team. Like, fuck that. We're going for the win today. So, you know, that's something that I think he could have been more aggressive on. Like I said, the conservativeness is always something that you got to think about. The question posed, do you think that's something that Antonio Pierce could work on as he continues to grow as a head coach? Because if that's the question, and if that's a yes, then you're willing to invest in him. Because like I said, if you get any other rookie head coach that's coming in here that's never been a head coach before, we're going to be going through the same growing pain situationally that we're going through right now. So just think about all that. As we wind it down here, make sure you guys are tapping on the like, all the subscribe buttons. And remember, I always keep it authentic from the clouds to the ground on the Raider Rundown.
I need a bad bitch with an accent, serving in peace, still taxing. Just got tapped for the young cash app, moonwalking like a young Mike Jackson. Yeah, shots to the head, ride clean and it's still fuck feds. Realest nigga and it's on my kids, so who the fuck gon' wanna test me, bitch?